happy Wednesday, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Rocketeer Minute, where each and every day, Monday through Friday, we go over 1 minute of the greatest adventure movie Walt Disney's ever made, the 1991 Joe Johnston-directed feature, The Rocketeer. I'm one of your hosts, Jim O'Kane of TVDads.com.
And I'm Hal Bryan, an airplane nerd from the Experimental Aircraft Association here in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Now, Jim, yesterday we were talking about you having some sort of domestic relationship with a married woman, I believe,
Yeah.
as you put it.
It happens.
So I wanted to get to the bottom of this. And so in true Jerry Springer fashion, we brought her on the show today.
Oh, no.
We're gonna straighten this out once and for all. So a big welcome to Nancy O'Kane. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. I think your listening audience may be familiar with my work on Airport Minute, but this is my first appearance here on the Rocketeer Minute, and I'm very glad to be here.
Well, we're thrilled to have you have the captain aboard, as you were famously known on social media.
Mm-hmm. And she's been subjected to the Rocketeer many times, so she knows it, if not by love, by osmosis.
It's a fine line, isn't it? Yes, that's
well, she did.
That's how I
promise for better,
describe our marriage, anyway. So
it's amazing that the tolerant women we've found.
Yes. Yes, I often refer to my wife as the patron saint of bemused tolerance.
I think my phrase is just yes, dear.
Sort of a knowing nod,
that's
and then you go back on about your life.
Sure, whatever. Right. He's in the back room. He's quiet. It's okay.
The on the air sign is lit, so yes. I've got a half an hour of peace.
Wow.
Well, there we are. So, here we are in the on the top floor of the Chateau Sinclair,
yes.
And we're watching James Bond pick spinach out of his teeth.
Although yesterday we decided it might be soup because somehow it's funnier to have soup stuck in your teeth.
Could be, yes.
I don't know why.
The tomato bisque just sliding in and out.
You would think that he would have a nice sort of gunmetal toothpick case or something in an inside pocket next to the chloroform and everything else that he's carrying around with him. But no, he's just using the old pinky finger.
It's rather unusual that he would be that way. I mean, dental floss, as far as I've seen from Wikipedia and other sources in the American Dental Association, has been around since 1819. It's possible that Andrew Jackson could have used dental floss.
I'm not sure that he did, but toothpicks have been around since there's sort of evidence of people using a bit of sort of mastodon bone or whatever would have been appropriate. Goes way back. But I had been just doing a bit of reading about a guy named Charles Forster, who was kind of an aristocrat from Massachusetts, who was doing a lot of business in Brazil. His uncle had this import-export business, and he was down there. He noticed that the natives all had these beautiful teeth, and he figured it was because they all seemed to have these beautiful handcrafted toothpicks. So he was kind of the Ray Kroc of toothpicks. If you'll allow that.
The Johnny Appleseed, or the Johnny Apple seeds between the teeth.
Yes, exactly. So he sort of talked his way into a patent, and then worked with somebody else to develop a machine to mass produce these things. So he's able to crank out all these toothpicks, and he was trying to sell them in Boston. This is by about 1870. So he was building these, cranking out millions of these wooden toothpicks every day. True industrial production there. People weren't buying them because people would just whittle their own, and people weren't thinking about buying any kind of disposable products at that point. That really wasn't much of a thing. What he did to generate demand was he hired young people, and they would go into these local stores like stationery stores and things like that, sort of dry goods kinds of places, and they would ask, where are your wooden toothpicks? And they'd say, well, we don't have any, so they'd leave. Then he'd go back to those stores where people had been asking for them. Then he'd sell them a bunch. Then the kids would come back again, buy the toothpicks, and then he'd buy them back, or he'd get them back from the kids who bought them and then sell them again to the same retailer.
Wow.
So he could just keep these things flowing. And then for restaurants, it's a little more upscale. He'd get, sort of wealthier Harvard types, send them into a restaurant. They would demand them. And then when they, at the end of their meal, when they said, well, sorry, we don't have wooden toothpicks, they'd, throw down their napkins and walk out in disgust and promise, never to come back. And then the next thing you know, here comes Charles Forster. Why, I can help you with this. I'll sell you some wooden toothpicks. So he was perhaps a little bit of a patent troll and brilliant at creating demand.
Master marketer, yeah.
Yes. And that's, I'm just going to say, O'Kane's, that's what I know about toothpicks.
There, you're right on top of it. That's my knowledge has quadrupled in
yes.
that.
Yes. Now we all know.
Now we all know, whether you wanted to or not. So I know that, and I know that according to Douglas Adams, when you have to put instructions on a package of toothpicks, that indicates the ultimate decline of Western civilization.
Oh, I thought it meant a lawsuit somewhere.
Well, that could be too. I think
somebody gets sued for using them the wrong way.
Yeah. Right.
Not for digestion. But so he goes with the old pinky routine, and I guess does a pretty good job. He seems to be pretty accurate. We're up to the master plan of Jenny here, as she's calling Neville in to do something, anything. Although I can't imagine that this would be the first idea of how to do away with an unwanted suitor. One thing before we get into this, I can't stand a double door on a bathroom. We have friends who have double doors on bathrooms, and I can't say who, but it's not right. You need a single door on a bathroom, and I've been in places where there's been saloon doors, where there's been louvered doors. I need a solid door that goes floor to ceiling and locks if possible.
Yeah, saloon door is a big no for me. In public restrooms, and you spent a lot more time over than I did, but that's one thing I noticed very early on in the UK was that it was very, very difficult to tell if a restroom stall was occupied, because even in the public restrooms, the doors went in a stall went floor to ceiling. Yeah. At least where I was, and so there was no sort of discreet. Do I see a pair of shoes? No, I can open the door and go in.
That's actually a new thing, at least in ladies' rooms in the United States now too. They're individual cubicles with a floor to ceiling door, so it's like walking into a closet when you go into a stall. If you have claustrophobia, I don't think you would enjoy these restrooms.
Yeah, I've stopped at one. I'm thinking of the Buc-ee's chain in the central U.S., which are just these massive gas station palaces that have like 140 gas pumps out front, and I've noticed that they have floor to ceiling toilets with doors that go up to the ceiling, and rather cubicalized urinals, which was a bit of a surprise. There's like large pillars on either side of a urinal that they're kind of out or stalls more than anything else.
And
so that you can't readily have a conversation with the man standing next to you. Is that what that?
Yeah, or in the case of celebrities like Bill Campbell, you can't have someone ask you for your autograph in the middle. So.
Right, that's probably a good thing then.
Yeah.
Be curious to see what our listeners think. As far as I'm concerned, at the sink is fine. Anywhere else in a public restroom, conversation ceases.
Yeah.
So when the door closes, or the belt is unlatched, whatever sort of the first step is in that process,
other
conversation
than a cry for help, that's about the only
exactly.
Yes. I don't believe in interstall. I don't know if it's a ladies' room thing versus men's room thing, but there is nothing to discuss.
And as men, Jim, I don't think we're allowed to know.
No,
I don't think we're allowed to know really.
It's all the big.
The ladies' room is a mystery.
Well, women's restrooms have. Oh, and there's the dog. Rio, hush, Mama's talking.
I told you we need an all-pet episode of the Rocketeer Minute. I wasn't kidding.
Let me see if she wants to go out. I'm sorry. Hold on. All right, I'm back. I'm talking and petting the dog with one hand, but I think she's okay now.
We were talking about restrooms and...
Yes, and ladies' rooms have two very different areas of conversation. When you're in the stall, silence is the rule. But the minute you get out and you're standing there by the sink in the mirror, then anything goes. And women will have the most amazing private conversations with each other in full listening view of 20 other women who don't know them. It's an amazing thing. And then I said to him, and then he said to me, and do you know what she did then? And they don't know if their mother-in-law is in one of the next stalls listening, or
there's a whole podcast
doesn't matter.
So you can be in the stall listening up to whatever's going on
absolutely,
out at the sink.
Yes.
You never come out for days. Just, wow. That's just a stunt, yeah. So there we are. I sense a podcast there.
No, that is the reason why women go to the restroom in groups. It's so they can talk about everybody else. No. And I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that, but that's how it is.
The way it goes. Another secret of the bathroom. And this is all sponsored by watching Jenny calling in.
Yes, but Jenny's alone in this bathroom, so...
Yeah, that was her fatal mistake, going into the bathroom by herself.
Well, and is it even a bathroom? Is it sort of... is it an old-style sort of dressing room sort of thing that might even be separate?
I don't know, because it's like, wouldn't the closet face the dressing room?
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's true.
It's some other place. It's some, I don't know, alcove. But just those.
I mean,
those,
it's got a lighted makeup mirror and so a little vanity thing like that. So
yeah, it could be it's the where the fainting couch is and all that. The ladies' lounge.
exactly.
I do like how much time between she says, Neville, could you come in? And the sure.
Yes, exactly. It's a very Bugs Bunny. Just and he's right there.
But what a look! What a look, Timothy. In my mind, I picture myself looking like Timothy Dalton. It'll never. Sorry, honey, but it'll never happen. But gosh, what a guy!
You do have the mustache.
I do have the. No, I've got to trim it more.
You have a mustache.
I have a push broom.
A mustache.
And my hair will never be that color again. My hair is the color of Jenny's earrings.
And there's the title of your memoir right there.
Yes, the color of Jenny's earrings.
Well, to be honest, your hair doesn't sparkle quite so much.
No.
Wow.
Well,
I like where this is going.
Yeah. It's married life, folks. It's great. He's really good there where she needs help moving a 6-inch long zipper the final 3 inches as far as I can.
And it's not straight up the back like you would traditionally expect, in as the old trope. When can you help me with my zipper? It's it's just right there on the side.
Yeah.
No, but he falls for it anyway, so
it
serves its purpose.
It does.
My wife's favorite phrase about boys.
Which is?
Boys are stupid.
No.
Boys are stupid.
No? Boys are stupid.
So,
No, actually, you're usually the one who says that, and I nod my head in agreement.
Yeah, boys are stupid.
And they're willing to admit it. I guess is the other important thing.
I wouldn't say stupid so much as boys are easy.
Yeah, they're just gullible. Just fall for anything.
I'll buy that.
Is that a likely place for a zipper on such a gown?
It is a known place for it, yes. It gives you the smooth back without the possible bump and twist of a zipper. It's just one solid piece, and the same for the front. And the zipper is hidden most of the time, so you don't notice it because it's under her arm. So that is a thing, yes.
I am not as good a sewer as you are, but I happen to notice that I forget what they call that part that goes around the cloth that goes around the zipper. It just looks like a real bad puckering job on that where that zipper was installed.
Part of that is because she and he are both pulling at it, trying to undo it. The dress itself is beautiful. That is a custom designed dress. And have we established in the movie why somebody with very limited income has such a beautiful dress to wear on a night out?
We never got where she got that from. I'm assuming that she got it from Central Wardrobe at the place that she was working at, which would be Warner Brothers.
Oh, okay.
Doing
So it's
the Laughing
not,
Bandit. She might have swiped it.
It's not her own dress. That makes sense, but it's fitted beautifully to her body. That is not off the rack, and I'm incredibly envious of the way she looks in that dress.
I always thought that maybe too either it came from the wardrobe department at work. Maybe one of the other girls in the house, Mrs. Pye's house, had it and borrowed it and loaned it to her. But as you say, it's such a perfect custom fit.
Yeah.
So
the part where he's unzipping it and she's running her hand down across the front, you can tell it's exactly fitted to her body. It's beautiful.
Yeah, the cut. I mean, like you're looking at the darts at the waistline and things like that are just almost invisible. Mm-hmm. And I really know way too much about sewing, don't I? But it is a remarkable thing. And plus, working with that fabric, which I'm assuming is silk, be a difficult prospect.
I'm sure it's meant to be silk. It may actually, for the movie, it may actually be some form of polyester. But I think we're meant to believe it's pure silk.
Yeah, and it's got the. I'm assuming it's like a built-in bra or something that's part of the outfit and things. And
and that's another part that's perfectly fitted.
Yeah, so, whenever possible, be thin and 19 and, it's just a lot of things.
Always be yourself unless you can be thin
you'll
and
never
19.
be Neville Sinclair. Well, unfortunately, I will never be Jenny.
Honey, you're just fine by me.
Wow.
She comes up with coming over with the sudden overhand, not a right hook, but she kind of an overhand fly, kind of a cricket throw.
Very smooth move.
Yeah.
Very much so. And just as she's grabbing for that vase, we get another look at her charm bracelet. A couple of things we don't see as much. We see the heart, and then there's interesting that she's got the comedy and tragedy faces for her her work in acting, but I don't see a tragedy face, and I'll have to look again at we did get a glimpse at some close-up pictures of the original prop at one point, so I'll have to look and see if there is a tragedy face on there as well. But Kind of nice just to have the happy one.
I'm fascinated by the light fixture that's just to the left of her. That's the short fluorescent bulb, which actually might be a neon bulb. That is
it may well be.
It's embedded like a torch.
Right, and then earlier in the scene, at about second 15, you can see the top of the bulb, and it looks like there's a second one just out of frame, on both sides of the mirror.
Yeah, there's another. You can see a better view of that at second 22.
Oh, yes.
That there's
there you
two
go.
of them.
Yeah, you do
little
see
short
two of them.
lightsaber-y looking things.
Exactly.
But
and that's how we do it. Oh, and just as we're scrubbing through here, second 18, there's on Jenny's charm bracelet, there's a musical score. You can see hanging there too, a treble clef and a couple of notes.
Oh, which we haven't heard her sing, but who knows?
Well, it's fine and performing arts majors.
Yes,
exactly.
we know some of those in our family. So. I was thinking, as she is clonking Mr. Sinclair on the head, I was reminded of something that I didn't say back when it would have been clever.
It's never too late to be clever, Jim.
She's getting this is her second pounding on the head of somebody with a heavy object, and if you remember back at the South Seas Club, she came up behind Lothar with a seahorse.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
and hit him at the lower back of the head. And one of the things that Nancy and I have been talking about recently, that the seahorse in Latin, she's a Latin student. What is it again for seahorses?
Hippocampus.
Hippocampus. Yeah. So, and it was a statue of a seahorse, and ironically, she was hitting Lothar's hippocampus with a hippocampus.
I can't picture you saying that without wearing glasses and gnawing on a cigar. Yeah.
Actually, that's what we were both doing that at the time.
She hit the hippocampus with a hippocampus.
Exactly. Don't mind if I do.
Right. Oh, that's amazing. Then, of course, as you said, she clocks him with the big breakaway vase.
Beautiful breakaway vase.
Which that makes me think back to our friend Ryan Johnson, who was an extra on the film and then a terrific guest, giving us all kinds of great behind-the-scenes photos and things. But he's now in the largely the breakaway prop business.
Yeah, and if you'd like to have your own breakaway vase or bottle or whatever, what is his website again?
It's New Rule FX. So New Rule at the letters F and X.com. And his breakaway vases range from $14 to $85.
And you can just knock yourself out, literally.
Right. And or your friends, So
yeah,
for one that would sort of match, very, very roughly the closest one in the scene, I think it'd be about $55. So choose carefully.
A bargain at twice the price. It's just one of those things. As Neville falls to the floor, I can't help but notice, and we watch way too much HGTV, that's a beautiful throw rug that he's got there. The area rug is just nice, has a low nap, and just looks very comfortable. And I really like the flooring, which looks like some kind of a pergo variation.
Well, and that rug, too, has another sort of variant of that Greek key, that Greek key motif going around the outside and the border, and that
follows
that complements the what was the term, those cement tiles.
Yes,
on the walls, sort of brocade.
Very nice, kind of ties the whole room together, to quote yet another movie.
It really does.
And I'm sure Neville Sinclair hired the best designer to plan his whole house so everything coordinates. And
well, yeah, technically it's a Frank Lloyd Wright house, so he's got it all there. He just probably doesn't have any good storage room. And we finally get a really good look as Jenny leaves whatever room that was. She walks past the reviving brandy table.
Yes.
And we're at the end of the loggia, that upper floor Frank Lloyd Wright treatment that goes through past the moonlit, beautiful lighting there, the moonlight shining through the stained glass.
Yeah, that pattern on the wall is gorgeous. It complements the tile so well. You don't by chance recognize the painting or the artist from the painting on the back wall, do you? Sort of the abstract pinup, but
I'm guessing Picasso of some era, but
I was automatically thinking Picasso before he got too abstract, but that's about the extent of my art history knowledge right there.
Could possibly be a Dave Stevens in the style of
that's
Picasso.
very true. Wouldn't that be something? And as Jenny runs along at about second 43, she goes past this great Art Deco statue, and I haven't been able to identify this one specifically. It immediately makes me think of a nymph.
I'm seeing wings on the ankles, so I'm thinking either Hermes or Mercury.
Oh, sure. I hadn't really noticed the wings on the ankles. Looking around, there was an artist a French artist, his last name was Gerba, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Certainly did a lot of similar work, but that would have been that's a very popular, truly Art Deco style that would have been appropriate in the 30s. But that's interesting. I hadn't thought about Hermes or Mercury.
Actually, I have to hit up my history student here. Does Mercury or Hermes ever carry a sword? Have you ever noticed that?
That's what I'm just looking at, and I do not believe that he does.
He is the messenger of the gods. I don't think he ever delivers a message of death.
No. It doesn't seem right to me, and I'm thinking it may just be an abstract representation of this is some sort of god, standing guard in the corner of the house here. I don't think it's meant to be a specific one.
It looked good at the Home Depot, and so
yeah, pretty much like that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Look at statues of Hermes, although this is interesting. I've just found a statue of Hermes in a very similar pose. It's sort of reversed. He is holding, one of you will know the name of it, the staff is it the caduceus? I can't think of the name. The twin snakes around the staff.
The caduceus.
So the thing we associate with medicine.
Yeah, medicine, yeah.
Anyway, there's a number of pictures of Mercury holding that, which sort of throws me off.
Well, and the first thing that I called up just with a Google image search, it says bronze Greek Olympian god Hermes statue. So they're kind of covering all the bases there. But it's a statue of Hermes holding Pan's pipes in his hand.
I'm seeing that very one, yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know. It's a peculiar little thing. We'll have to ask Mike what it looks like if he can send us a close-up picture from his.
Right. Maybe he can loan it to us for further analysis.
He does seem like you're saying he's carrying the old snakes, and maybe the snakes fell off. I don't know. But there are many. That could be it. Wait, I think I've spotted it. Hermes lost brass bronze sculpture. No, that could be the base of the base may not have the snakes on it, and the snakes are up by the head.
Now, are you seeing a statue where he's got his winged foot, and then it's like he's balanced on the breadth of a disembodied head? As weird as this sounds, because I'm looking at one.
I'm seeing one called "Portrait of Simonetta Vespucci as a Nymph," and it was. Hang on, let me.
Okay, I'm seeing one here where he's holding what seems to be a long sort of speaking tube or trumpet in his hand so that he can apparently shout his messages louder, but he's holding it back in his hand, so all you can see from the front is the part that you shout through, like the Ricola guy.
Yeah, oh, sure.
That has the so maybe we're seeing something like that from an odd angle.
It's all very peculiar. I mean, it's somewhere in that ilk. I think we can kind of go with either figure of Mercury, figure of Hermes. But
I think it's some Hollywood artist's rendition of what Mercury would look like.
Yeah, we may never know until
without actually opening a book.
Until we talk to Mike, we'll never know. I just can't get over how. I mean, I know she has to bump into it, but she's darned awful clumsy when it comes to banging into large things that are on.
I noticed that too. She's moving her hands along the thing there without looking where her hands are going.
Right.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem to be that dark. And that hallway, that loggia up there, seems to be pretty wide for her to have to bang into it.
And of course, staring down at Lothar down there, who's eating. Is it just a big bowl of chicken?
It just looks. Yeah, he's.
It looks like just are there a plate of chicken and nothing else? Which
he's just finishing off a big old bone.
You can kind of see that. It's just, here, Lothar, here's your plate of meat. Yeah. Now,
Well, he's a big guy. He needs his protein.
Be a good henchman.
And I noticed somebody's cleaned up all the daylilies that Neville had cut down the day before. So
right.
Apparently the maid's been in.
Now, what is in the bowl on that? Let's see.
I'd go with apples. They look similar to the apples that he was about to bite into yesterday.
Yes.
Earlier on Friday.
For some reason, from this angle, they look a little more oblique, and all I could think of is, why would he have a bowl of onions sitting out?
Yeah, exactly. I think you noticed that last time that they looked oniony.
Great. Now I'm repeating myself. It's all over, folks.
You're underlining it.
No, you're making a callback to a previous episode.
I'm the king of callbacks, but when I do it without knowing it, then that's it. I'm all done. I'm spent.
That was a substantial one of the lost pieces of furniture in most houses. The large ashtray, the rather ornate ashtray that's next to the couch.
Yes, I can see that there off to the left.
Such a common fixture, even from our childhoods. I remember I can remember my parents owning several different types of glassware that were, ashtrays and things. And I think everybody had a stack somewhere just in case there was company coming over if you're having mahjong or whatever.
Now, looking back at Lothar again, just to his right, is that what he sets the plate of chicken on, or he's just about to before we cut away? Is that the radio? So we get somewhat of a view of from up high, from what I will always think of as the Robert Loggia up there.
Yeah.
Sorry, but every time you say Loggia,
it looks like it's.
If it were a radio, it'd be pretty tall, but
yeah, it's like a trash can size thing. But again, it could be like the side of a radio, and we're not looking at the front of it.
As from up above, you can just almost get the hint of
a console, or is that the brim of his
console
hat?
or something? But yeah, exactly. It's tough to say for sure.
I would think that the dials might point to the left. That the face of it maybe...
No, that's right, though. When you look at the view from above, you can see something that might be the dials right just behind his face.
Oh, when he turns to look up at her, when he turns his head a little bit, you see something like
is that part of the chair that he's sitting in?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think it's probably a console radio.
We're going to have to go back several minutes and stare at the beginning of this movie where we may have seen it in a previous scene next to the heart.
And remind me again, so is this where Lothar was sitting, where we see him just sitting there listening to the radio, eating his sandwiches with the crust cut off? He wasn't at Neville's house at that point.
Neville was calling him from that location.
Sure,
actually.
Neville's calling from here. That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just Lothar's big henchman guy hangout, wherever that is.
That's right. Yeah, he's there away from everybody else.
Probably 1633 Palm Terrace.
Yes.
Just conveniently located next door.
Of course, Jenny, scared, has to back up and go to the only open door. I wonder I guess Lothar was like, I'll just sit down here and wait for you to contact me, or what? I'm not sure what his job here is at the time, what he's doing there.
So, Jim, that chicken's not going to eat itself.
That's
I think
true.
Is his job here. We've got to consider that.
It is just a plate. I keep looking at it and trying to see if there's anything else. But yeah, apparently he's just on that Atkins all protein.
Well, that was his first trip to the buffet, so he took the meat. He'll go back the second time for the vegetables, and eventually he'll work his way to the pudding.
Yeah. He does seem like a banana pudding guy, yeah. Doesn't take his hat off indoors. Well, I guess home is where you hang your hat, and this is not home.
He doesn't take his prosthetics off either. So
no, that's true.
What do you do? That's got to be a challenge to even feign eating with those, with all the prosthetics, all the appliances on his face.
And the thing that I didn't even notice was the scene in between while we're watching him put his chicken up on top.
Yeah. It
didn't hit me from the time we look at her to the time we get back to Jenny that she's actually gone through the door and is now behind the door.
Right.
And is up to the... It hit me as like she's still looking at a door and somehow this bookcase has magically appeared to her right. It crossed the axis without my noticing, and just kind of like, oh, there's a bunch of books there.
Yeah, it is kind of a weird jump there that she's in there that quickly. And you notice the switch panel with the buttons on the wall.
Yeah, the push button power thing, which means that there's probably post and tube electric through the entire house. Nice and unsafe.
Excellent. And of course, we can't make out the titles of any of the books. The only title I know of is The Conquest of Casanova. How appropriate.
It's amazing that he doesn't have any new books. He only seems to have...
Well, Neville doesn't strike me as much of a reader. I think those are the books that came with the house.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I think the decorator supplied them, too.
So these will make you look smart.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Mr. Sinclair.
And they all match, so it's perfect binding set there.
Except for that one.
Except for that one that you pull on it, etc.
I really enjoy looking at this house and how nice and neat and tidy the floor-to-ceiling built-ins, or I guess they're not really built in if they slide around.
They look built in.
Yeah.
You're supposed to think they're built in. That's the key to a secret passage, Jim, is keeping it secret.
Yes, they are faux built-ins.
I know growing up, I always felt that I would eventually live in a house with a wall of shelving that you could, pull on something and you'd get to the rest of the house with it. But
that's still on my bucket list. Absolutely.
And a secret telephone hidden inside the bust of Shakespeare?
Yes.
No, that's the knob.
Oh, the knob that moves the bookcase.
Okay. Yeah, no, the telephone would be under a cake covering. boring.
So, the bust of Shakespeare was sort of the only thing I was missing in my office in our last house before we moved out here to Wisconsin. I had the light-up red phone and, an original phone from the era, and then found, of course, there are instructions online on here's the exact sort of cake holder that you would get to look just like it. So I had it in there, and then I had the thing rigged up so that when the phone would ring in my home office, a bat signal would flash on the ceiling and the red phone would light up. And
all that to be sold storm windows.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the whole downside of the whole thing. Was cool. The phone's ringing, and so I don't want to talk on the phone. This is the 21st century. I don't answer phone calls anymore. And so it was sort of a downside. But I was missing, and it's still, if you were to dig through my Amazon wish list, you'll still see the Shakespeare bust there that opens up with a button. And one day I'll have one that does something. Maybe I'll have one where you lift up Shakespeare's head, push the button, and it just hangs up the phone without answering. Oh. It just sends it to voicemail.
We do have not a doorway, but an entryway from the front of our house to the where the bedrooms are, and I keep thinking, what an ideal spot for a bookshelf. Except the dog would very get annoyed and scratch and probably eat all the books on the bottom shelf. So we probably can't put it there. But
yeah, I was going to say we'd run the same problem with cats. It would be a secret passage except for the cat door at the bottom.
Yes,
but otherwise totally secret. Nothing beyond here. Nobody.
If you make the flap look just like a 1971 Encyclopedia Britannica, and then just have the M, N, and O and P, just have them open up.
For us, it was the World Book Encyclopedia, but then Britannica came later.
Yeah. Did you get the yearbooks after the?
Got the yearbooks
with the overlaid acetate sheets.
Yep. And now I've got this nice, this beautifully done leather-bound sort of reproduction of the very first 3-volume Britannica from the 1750s. It's just
wow.
So it's obviously a brand new, newly done reproduction, but it's gorgeous.
I had Funk and Wagnalls for the longest time.
Watch your language, sir. This is a family show.
I had a set of Compton's encyclopedias.
Ooh.
Nobody remembers those.
Compton's, yeah. My next-door neighbors had Grolier's Encyclopedia, which, of course, was the source authority for questions and answers used on Jeopardy. And I was envious.
Man, I'm messing around with this stuff, but it's not good enough
for Art
Jeopardy.
Fleming. Yeah, it's like
my favorite. Since this is the Encyclopedia Minute now, my favorite as a kid, and I was able to recreate or to find another set after ours were lost, but was one called Above and Beyond, and it's the Air and Space Encyclopedia, and it's 13 volumes of just aviation and space stuff. I'm looking at that across my my office right now.
I have them in another room. I can't look at all my space books because that would just be. I would never get anything done. I have to read this again. We are mostly. I'm trying to think if we have rooms without books, and I don't think we. Well, the dining room doesn't have books. Except
it does now. It's got all my school books.
Yeah. Except for fall and spring, it doesn't have books.
Yeah, I was going to say. I think our bathrooms don't have bookshelves, but otherwise every room in our house as well is. It's not a room if it doesn't have books in it.
Yes. Well, the latest issue of Sports Aviation is in at least one of our bathrooms, which is for guest readerships.
Excellent.
So we've gone full.
Surprisingly, I'm sorry, but I'm sitting here in the den and I'm looking around. We actually don't have bookshelves here. We have DVD shelves.
Yes.
Well, and then we have the lightsaber shelf too.
Yes, and my cookbooks are piled in the corner here. So technically, I guess those count.
Those count. Yes.
The number one you mentioned, Sport Aviation, the magazine I work on. Not to drag it into my work territory. The only significant complaint we ever get about the magazine. Any guesses?
You can't throw it out.
Oh, Jim, you're the best.
No, I can't. It's terrible. I have old issues. I'm like, I read this one already, but I want to keep it. Look at the picture. That picture that you have this month, on the current month, is of the B-29 of Doc. It's just,
that fold-out B-29 is gorgeous.
I just sit there and stare at it. I'm just like,
Now, the number one complaint, because we did a major design overhaul in about 2010, and the only real consistent complaint we get, and it's not enough to drive us to change it. It's just the one that you notice once every few months, is somebody will tell us that it's too big to fit on the back of a toilet. It's too big for the toilet tank. It overlaps.
So you're going to Reader's Digest size.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just not something that crosses your mind or anything. We want a new look for the magazine. We want sort of better quality paper and maybe make it a little bit bigger. Nobody ran out and measured a toilet tank to say, well, it can't be bigger than this. So
just walk out of the hardware store going, it's going to be this wide, this wide.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, no, fortunately we have a vanity sink that's large enough to contain a sport aviation. Even though
Excellent.
it gets in the way of the toothpaste, but
As long as you can get to the toothpicks and the dental floss.
yes, everything's fine.
See, now that's a callback on purpose.
There you go. Yeah, and it worked so well. So we'll leave Jenny in her room of secrets, and I'd like to thank my wife for joining us on this adventure.
Yes. And I'd like to thank her for being so giving with your time, Jim. That she's willing to put up with your absence, and I'm sure your quiet patience while you edit these episodes every night, sometimes rather frantically to the last minute.
Yes, there's a lot of quiet cursing and muttering coming from the room.
Why does Hal keep breathing? It takes me forever to cut this out.
I do see her at night when she wanders in and says, "I'm going to bed." And my response is, "I'll be right in," and her response is, "Sure." So
I have yet to see that time when you are right in, because I'm always sound asleep. So you're just such a dedicated podcaster. Dear.
We've got troops to entertain out there. The world is waiting.
Everybody's waiting.
So many
World is
pinheads, so
waiting.
little time. But we will. Is it really Wednesday already? Wow, this week is flying by. But we will be back tomorrow with even more. We might have interesting guests. No matter what, we'll have interesting people, and even if it's just me and Hal.
Exactly.
We'll try to be more interesting. So we're going to talk about the conquest of Casanova. So expect a lot of details about Casanova and things as soon as we get back from Wikipedia.
Yes.
If you'd like to join us on our conversation here about everything from post and tube electrical systems to what you talk about in the ladies' room, we're always open for conversations out there on social media. Find us on Twitter at Rocketeer Minute. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Rocketeer Minute. Find us on the big site, rocketeerminute.com, where you can find this and previous episodes, and also some cool swag from Amazon. So you can you can order anything that you want about any of the subjects we've talked about. I'm sure that they have a search thing out there. By the way, if you're interested in typing things in a search bar, type in Rocketeer Minute on either iTunes or Google Play, and you can find us. When you find us, click subscribe and get us delivered hot and fresh every morning, Monday through Friday, so you can get the latest episode at all times on that little machine that you're holding in front of you while you're running on the treadmill. So I have other things to say, but I can't think of them at the moment. So please join us here tomorrow. Join us here tomorrow on the Rocketeer Minute. So until next time, over and out.
Go get him, kid.